All right, so now we're at John and Jane are 80 years old, okay? So remember, John had, when he was 70, he started with $419,000. Jane, when she was 70, started with $369,000. So John has significantly more than Jane did because he did not convert his Roth or his IRA when he was 50 years old to a Roth. So remember, Jane had $100,000. If the market fell 10% to $90,000, and she said, I'm converting now, puppy, I'm converting it over, and I'm going to pay the taxes, roughly $11,000 with IRA money, all right? So she started with roughly $79,000 odd dollars. At 8% a year for 20 years, it grew to $369,000. John, on the other hand, said, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just going to leave it be. His $100,000 fell to $90,000. He let that be. And so by the time he was 70, he had $419,000 in there, significantly more than Jane. So John was like, yay! But now he started having RMDs, required minimum distributions. Okay, so the first year RMD is $419,486. Divide that by 27.4. And he had a little bit of taxes to pay, about $400 to $500 when all is said and done. Jane had nothing, all right? But now we fast forward 10 more years until they're 80. So let's start with Jane this time. So Jane now has got $796,796, which is pretty ironic, but roughly $800,000 in her Roth IRA. How much of that is subject to taxation? Nothing, all right? So we also, remember, we started with $30,000 a year in Social Security. Now we're adjusting that with a 2.6% cost of living adjustment, a COLA. So Jane now has $38,778 in her Social Security account. And so what we do to see how much of that is taxable, we take our trusty calculator and we say 38,778 divided by 2, is 19,389. 19,389, okay? So so she has no, let me just get rid of this RMD. She's got no RMD. So she got, all we're trying to figure out is what is her tax, does she owe any taxes on Social Security? Because she certainly doesn't owe any on her Roth IRA. So we got to figure out her provisional income. And again, that was 19,389. 19,389 is her provisional income because you take half of your Social Security amount and add it to any other income you have. It's actually combined income. I should have been using that since day one, but in the financial vernacular, financial planning, we call it provisional income. I guess that makes it sound smarter. Whereas the IRS, they say combined income. I don't know why we didn't use that. Anyway, so 19,389 is her provisional income. The first $20,000 or $25,000 tax-free, and so we know for a fact that she has less than $25,000 of provisional income, so none of her Social Security benefits subject to taxation, and because there's no RMD on that $796,000, even if she took a distribution out, it would be tax-free because it's a Roth. So again, Jane's got no taxes due whatsoever. All right, now let's go old John, though. Here's where it's going to get fun, and literally, I haven't run these numbers. I don't know. I'm just going off what I know. I thought it'd be interesting. So now John had a significant amount of RMDs over the course. Let me just type it up here. I'll tell you exactly what he has. I ran these spreadsheets. Pretty easy to do all this stuff, my friends, but he took, over the course of those 10 years, $217,000 of total RMDs. Now, what happened to that money? At this stage, I don't care. All we're looking at is the taxation of his IRA and the taxation of his Social Security. Now, I mean, if he invested that $217,000, that also would be subject to taxation too. So, but we're going to assume he just spent it. I don't know. He gave it away, did anything. At this stage, if he had $217,000 in total taxable accounts, and that's drawn, say, 4%, dividend yield or whatever, coupons and bonds, that'd be another $8,000 of taxable income. We're not going. I guess maybe we could do that. Well, let's think about that. When I'm doing these numbers, we can think about that. Anyway, so at the end of the day, he's got $581,000 in his IRA, of which he has $31,083 because the amount was we have to take out. You look at the IRS charts, and the divider is 18.7. All right, so let me just make sure my numbers are right here. So we got 581,258 divided by 18.7, and yeah, $31,083 is what he has to take out. Plus, he's got his $38,000 of Social Security. All right, so $38,778 of Social Security, because he also had $30,000 a year when he was 70, and it was going at a 2.6% cost of living adjustment. So now what we got to do is we say we take this half, just like we did with Jane. We got 19,389, and will be his Social Security that we use for provisional income. We 12, 16, 17, 4, 10. So he's got 50,472 of provisional income. Ooh, this could be kind of sketchy. 50,472. Yeah, you'll still be able to see this. All right, so the first 25,000 is tax-free. 0. So that leaves us with 25,472. All right. And then anything above from 25,000 to 34,000. So in this case, we got, actually, you know what I should do? I should do something differently. So 25,000 is tax-free. We know that. 34,000. So we take 34,000. All right, so what's going on here? The first 25,000 is tax-free. Anything 25,000 to 34,000 is at 50%. And I know this is going to be confusing, but if you see my videos, you know I've done this 8,000 times a Sunday, and that's at 85%. So go back to my videos if this doesn't make quite sense how I'm doing this. But basically, we got was that 16,472 times 0.85. All right, so 16,472. I'll make sense here in just a second. I'll wrap this up. 16,472 times 0.85. Yep, okay, that's 14,000. All right, so that's 14,000 right there, taxable Social Security, 14,001. Okay, now we're going to have first the amount from 25,000 to 34,000 is taxed at 50% of that's tax, which is 4,500. So we're going to have $18,501 as a taxable Social Security. You got to make sure that's less than 85% of his benefit, and it is. Okay, so 18,501 taxable SS plus his 31,083 RMD. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. See where old John sits here now. 18,501 plus 31,083 RMD. So he's got taxable income of 49,584. 49 taxable. Get revolver. Taxable income 49,584. Zoiks. You know why I say zoiks? Because that puts them in the 22% tax bracket, my friends. All right, so if you look at the tax tables, it's 0 to 9,000 for a single person, 9,500 is 10%. So 0 to 9,000, 0 to 9, I think 500 is 10%. 9,500 to 38,000 roughly is 12. And anything above 38,000, and I'm just off the top of my head, I'm just doing this at 22%. So in this case, we say, okay, what we got to do, we got to take the first, we got to go 49,000 minus 9,500. All right, so that's going to give us, that's going to give us exactly $950. So we got $950. The first threshold is taxes. That's the taxes due, not his taxable income. That's going to give us 49,584 minus 9. I'm just looking. This is just be close and not exact. Leave us 40,084. Oh, what? The next 38 was it 38,000 of that? Next 38,000 is at 12%. 9.12. 38,000. 4560, and then that's what 2,084 at 0.22. 458. All right, so add all these guys up plus 5,968 is federal tax. Tax bill 5,968. All right, and that's not even including if we got say 8% a year or 4% a year dividends and capital gains. from a mutual fund or a holdings or even bond interest that's outside his IRA because of all the RMDs he had to take. That's just based on Social Security, because Social Security cost of living adjustments go up. And guess what doesn't go up? The index amount. It's awesome if you're the government. You're like, yay, we get to tax these people. They have no clue. So as your Social Security cost of living adjustment increases, your potential taxes do too, as you can see here. Because now he's got $38,778 of Social Security. Well, guess what, my friends? The threshold's still $25,000 for combined / provisional income. It's crazy. It's insane. So now he owes $6,000 to the feds on what, $50,000 roughly of taxable income? It's crazy. That's not even in the state. Heaven forbid he doesn't live in Texas or Tennessee. If he lives in Georgia, it'd be fine. But some of these states, my goodness. Massachusetts, I'm looking at you, Massachusetts. Anyway, so $6,000 on roughly $50,000 of taxable income. He has less in his IRA. Now, if you added that IRA plus a $217,000, I think he's got in total RMDs, 217. So we'll just say 217. I haven't even had that growing yet. Plus 581. He's got 798. Yeah, so he's got, that's a little bit, not quite a fact. I'm just saying I took his RMDs. Well, that's not true. That is right, because I did have him growing at 8%. Yeah, no, it's not quite apple. I'm looking at my software by a spreadsheet over there. Not quite apples to apples. It'd be pretty close, though. He would have more in his account. There's no getting around that. He would have more in his account than Jane will, but before taxes. I can't deny that. He will have, it won't be a huge amount, though. So if he just took his RMDs and say what he had in RMDs and they just accumulated, and they were still growing at an 8% clip, the RMD amount wasn't specifically, just be advised, it's just a total amount of RMD. So he'd probably have another $10,000, $15,000 in there. So he'd have roughly 800, maybe 810,000, where Jane's got 796, say 800,000. So John will have more than Jane, but John has a heck of a lot more taxes. Because again, we're not even looking at the taxes that would have additionally added to. We can figure it out. If you had 4%, if you had $8,000 of income off these accounts, because he had $200,000 in his non-IRA account. So he's taking these RMDs, he's not spending them, he's investing them. This accumulated to about roughly $200,000. We're going to say it's 4% a year in income from it, from dividends, capital gains, and ordinary income. That's $8,000, and we know he's in a 22% tax bracket, so that'd make him pay another $1,760. So roughly, we're looking at almost $7,500 a year in taxable income. And taxes, not taxable income, taxes due. And now it's going to get more and more and more as he gets older. And because he's single, it's no big deal, but he'll leave that to his heirs. They're going to have to pay RMDs on that, taxes, or whatever their tax bracket is. And ideally, let's just say his heirs are, 55 years old and anesthesiologist. That lady who's a recipient is going to get killed tax-wise because she's already making $500,000 a year. I'm just thinking what I'm missing here, and I just tell you, man, it's just, yes, he will have a little bit more in his account. Yes, the amount of money from his RMDs that's accumulated will transfer to heirs tax-free because of step-up basis. But I just don't, I don't see, this is just, and by the way, this is just talking Social Security taxation. We haven't talked about it. Well, I'll tell you what, on top of that 8% that he received, it probably will be taxed at a full 8%, 22%, because some will be capital gains, some will be dividends. But if it's ordinary income, it's at the end of the day, he's still going to pay a heck of a lot more taxes. And if he was to have that account outside of if he didn't have as much in RMDs, all that $8,000 a year on that $200,000 would be tax-free because he's still in the 12% tax bracket. So again, this is an example. The RMDs put him in the 22% tax bracket, which inherently makes that $8,000 a year of income from his non-IRA account subject to income tax, be it at 4% or be it at 22% ordinary income or at 15% long-term capital gains and qualified dividends. It's still $1,500 on top of this right here. Anyway, so I'll let you think about that. I don't see how you don't take advantage of the IRA starting to convert to Roth when the markets have got crushed. I think you should. That's what I'm going to say too. So don't forget. Oh, I just dropped my pen. And Medicare premiums too. So remember, when you have modified adjusted gross income above what, $87,000, I think. for a single. And again, I'm just going off the top of my head. I can't remember. But it's roughly $87,000, and I think it is adjusted for inflation. That can always change. But let's just say he won't be close to that now. But based on the time he's 85 years old, and those RMDs are kicking in heavy, fast, and furious, those Medicare premiums are going to start increasing too, potentially at that point, depending on what the tax code looks like. So again, we've increased taxable income, we've increased taxes on Social Security, we've increased our tax bracket, we've increased taxes on capital gains and qualified dividends. We haven't yet increased taxes on Medicare premium or increased Medicare premiums, but that's coming in full. I mean, just it's coming soon. And on top of that, we certainly left a big tax hit to our heirs at death of John. Whereas Jane just says, I'm getting no taxes whatsoever, no tax on capital gains dividends, no nothing on nothing, no tax increase on Medicare, no taxes on Social Security, and then when I leave my $796,000 to my heirs is all tax free to them as well. Anyway, hope this helps. The end of the year is coming, man. The end of the year is coming. If you haven't bought my book on this, please do, for the love of me. Buy the book. It's $4.49 on Amazon. The tax bomb in your retirement. How the Roth IRA can help you avoid it. $4.49 on Amazon, and it's the hard copy is $5.99. I think Amazon ships it. I'm the one that priced it. I should remember. I just don't remember. I think it's $5.99. And the Kindle version is free if you have Kindle Unlimited. So go online to, use the link if you would. That way I get credit for it. So if you use the link on I'll put in the show notes to buy my book on Roth IRAs, for heaven's sakes. I mean, now's the time to be doing this stuff. The year is here. The end of the year is here. Take advantage. All right. Comments, questions, thoughts, thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.